Hi friends, how's it going? Welcome back to my channel. I join you from my living room floor because I am hanging out with my son Lucas right now and he's in his little swing. So it also feels good to get out of the office at the end of a long work day because I'm in there all day for work, just finished work, and thought that I would talk to you right now about some travel tips. Some travel tips for traveling specifically with 2 kids 2 and under. So I know that's very niche, but I feel like there are a good amount of moms maybe in my same position where you have a plane flight coming up and it is very overwhelming to try to think how you're going to juggle 2 kids. Now, I don't claim to be an expert. I definitely am not an expert because this was our first flight with the 2 of them. My son Henry is 2.5, or will be 2.5 in a few days or a couple weeks. And then my son Lucas just turned 5 months old. And so we got back about a week and a half ago from our first plane flight with our 2 boys. And we went to the East Coast. We live in Carson City, Nevada, and we went over for my cousin's wedding to Northern Virginia, and we saw Washington, D.C. as tourists while we were there. And so it required 2 different plane trips. We had a 2-hour-long flight followed by roughly a 3-hour-long flight. I think the first one was a little bit under 2, and then our layover was really short. It was like an hour, a little bit over an hour both directions. And things went way smoother than I thought they were going to be. I am really grateful that we did a couple things here, and there are a few mistakes also that we made in here. So I'm including both the good, the bad, and the ugly, all of it in here today for you. So let's get into the tips. Tip number 1, you want to give yourself a lot of time at the airport. Now, we didn't arrive copiously early, but we did arrive earlier than we normally would if it was just us, because the thing with 2 kids is, yes, you have the kids themselves, but you also have the kids plus all of their gear. You are likely going to be traveling with car seats, with a stroller. So I know that this takes a while to figure out, I feel like for first-time moms especially, with the car seat and the stroller, and is it free, and where do you check it, etc., etc. Each kid, and you do have to check with your airline, definitely don't take my word for this, for each child that you're traveling with, you get 1 car seat and 1 stroller that you can check wherever you choose. So you can check it at the counter, or you can check it all the way up to the gate. If you check it up to the gate, you're going to go to the counter and ask them for a tag for it, and essentially you wheel it all the way to the end and you put the tag on it, and then they take that down into the plane and then pop it right back up for you, where you grab it and then bring it on to your next connecting flight if you have a connecting flight. So that's how that works. Now, unfortunately, from what I've seen, pack and plays don't count as like a free checked item, and so you could check a pack and play if you have to travel with one, but a lot of hotels have pack and plays, a lot of Airbnbs have pack and plays if you need one, and so that is kind of a component that is a little bit tricky as well. But give yourself plenty of time, because the one thing that will make you more stressed than anything is if you're running late with 2 kids who have various needs going on while you're running late. Tip number 2 is to get new toys for your toddler for the trip specifically. Now, I am not big into overconsumption. I'm definitely more leaning minimalist, although I wouldn't fully call myself a minimalist given just the current state of our house. But leaning minimalist, I definitely try to purge and donate our stuff as often as possible. This is really, really helpful. And this was really helpful as well when I traveled with my son Henry when he was like a year and a half, a little bit younger, is to get new toys that they have never seen before and reserve it for the trip. You want to have kind of small sensory tactile toys, so things that they can kind of move around with their hands, so that you don't have to like lose various pieces in the seats of an airplane. So small things like that. There's one activity book that Henry has that he loves. Let me see if it's right here. no, it must be in his room, not in that cabinet, but he has an activity book that he really loves that includes like buttons and zippers and all kinds of things. When we traveled with him when he was 18 months old, he loved it and spent a lot of time using that. And so right now I think is the hardest stage that we've traveled with him. He is so busy, so physically busy. It was way easier when he was a little bit younger to like get him engaged. But get new toys that they haven't seen before reserved for the trip. You can go to the dollar store, you can get small stuff. Like, don't spend a lot of money on this. Make sure that it's small and can fit in a carry-on easily so that you're not overloading yourself with things. But it is super, super helpful. You can even set those things, if they worked for you, aside for the next trip so they can kind of be their travel toys. But this really helps to keep them engaged. Tip number 3 is the most essential, and it is to keep their tummies full for both a nursing baby and for a snacking toddler, because there is nothing that equals a meltdown more than a hangry, tired toddler. So you can at least remove the hangry portion of things and just be pumping them full of snacks. There's this one thing that we have, and it is called a snackle box, and we travel with this, and it is so helpful. It is such a game changer. So you can have all kinds of snacks in there for them. They keep engaged, they're able to try different things. You don't have to pack a bunch of Ziploc bags all over the place. They're not getting bored off of one snack if you're bringing them one snack. And you can even put like fresh fruit in there, you can put veggies in there, all in their little snackle box, pop it open, have them choose what they want. This has saved us in so many flights with Henry, and we've just kept him full of snacks. Super essential, also helpful. Why it's honestly easier to travel with an infant is because if you're nursing, and this is my experience. I am nursing my son Lucas. I was able to, if he got fussy, if he was a little bit anxious, I could nurse him on demand while we were traveling. That was super helpful for him. I know it'd be a different story if you're pumping or if you're on formula, and so that would be slightly different to navigate, but for a 100% breastfed baby, traveling with them is honestly kind of a piece of cake. I wish we would have done it more with Henry. We didn't go on any plane rides with Henry when he was exclusively breastfeeding, and I think that it would have been far easier if we did. So this is your sign. Go ahead and book that trip if you're thinking about it and you have a little 100% breastfed baby or a nursing baby. It is honestly fairly easy to travel with them at that stage. Tip number 4 is that there is actually discomfort that happens for adults and for babies and for kids when takeoff and landing happens as they're trying to pop their ears. And so what you want to do is similar to a trick for an adult where you chew gum to help your ears pop on takeoff and landing. You want the same thing to be happening for your kids. For an infant, you can give them a passy, which helps their ears pop. And similar for toddlers, if you give them something to drink or something to eat, that allows the chewing or sucking to take place, which helps their ears pop. Tip number 5, it is something that's worked for our family, so maybe it'll work for you too. We have the boys both in Dreamland weighted sleep sacks. Now, Lucas is actually in their swaddle from 0 to 6 months size, and Henry is in the largest size that they have. I'm so sad for when he grows out of it because it has just worked so well for him. And so that is kind of their signal that it is bedtime, it is quiet time. Now, we have such a routine. Both my boys are on such a nap routine that they kind of struggle to nap on the go. Luke is far better than Henry because he has to be a little bit more flexible right now, but Henry, we were able to just give him a very consistent routine. It needs to be, dark room, sound machine, the full 9, blackout curtains, all of that. He sleeps really well under those conditions, but without it, he really, really, really struggles to sleep on the go. The sleep sack, however, has helped him sleep on a plane, and I am so grateful that we discovered this tip. And so if you have a toddler who struggles sleeping on the go, or if you're traveling with a baby, we actually put Lucas in his swaddle sleep sack when it was time for him to go to sleep. And so we did that for both boys, and it helped tremendously. At one point, both of them were sleeping, and I felt like it was a major parenting win, especially with how hard it is to get them to kind of go to sleep normally. The white noise of the plane with some of the motion mixed with their sleep sack just signaled to them it was nap time, and they went right to sleep. And what really helped was for Henry. He is in a very active physically active stage right now. So he really wanted to jump on the seats as soon as we got him into the buckle, because he was able to have his own seat for the first time this time. He would slither and Houdini out of his seatbelt, and which is so funny because he's all into seatbelts right now. He goes, you know, buckle for safety is what he says, but then he slithers right out of it after he buckles into it. So, you know, he does his best. Little guy does his best. But in order to keep his kind of stop the legs from doing their thing, because he was so restless at certain points, we would put the sleep sack on, and that honestly helped so much, because for him it signals that it is time to quiet down and it is time to be still, and that's what he was able to do once he had it on, and that was honestly such a game changer. Tip number 6 is based off of a major error that we made. Real big mistake. We get on our first flight, we've boarded, and we're kind of checking the boys, making sure that they're both dry. Henry shocked us. He is mid-potty training, and Henry actually went to the bathroom on the plane both times. We were shocked because sometimes it's a little bit of a negotiation to get him to go on the potty, but he went on the plane potty and he was holding it the whole time, even though we traveled with him in diapers just to avoid any plane accidents, but he actually went on the plane, so we were shocked. For Lucas, I noticed like, okay, he kind of has a, you know, wet diaper. Let's get ready to get him changed. And we had forgotten to put diapers in the diaper bag. We did it. I cannot believe that we did it, but we had diapers in our checked bag for sure. We had diapers for Henry in our diaper bag, but we forgot diapers for Lucas in the diaper bag. It was a huge error and I was freaking out. Thankfully, we went to, our layover was in Denver, and there was a little station that sold like these organic bamboo diapers. We ended up buying 2 for $10, 2 airport bamboo diapers for $10. But thankfully that was enough to get him to our destination, and he did well. So tip number 6 is whatever you do, remember diapers, remember wipes, and remember a change of clothes for any blowouts that may happen. Okay, the last tip is tip number 7. Mentally prepare yourself for the meltdown to happen. Now, all of these things are to hopefully mitigate and prevent any kind of meltdown from happening. It's to keep your baby or your toddler content as you go, but there may be a meltdown. You may do all of these things or follow a large variety of other tips and truly do everything within your power and yet still have a meltdown. That is okay. I want you to mentally prepare yourself for that. On Henry's first flight, he had a full-on meltdown, and it's hard. It's hard to travel with babies because some people around you will be gracious and other people will not, and that is okay. The people who are not gracious to you or don't understand that kids have, you know, limited capacity to be able to handle some of these things, it is okay. I always told myself, look, I'm not going to see this person again, and so if they're hardcore judging how my toddler is reacting, it's okay. I'm not going to see them again. You don't have to have the approval of everyone around you. There is nothing good or bad about your baby or your child if they have a meltdown on a flight. If they're tired, if they're crying, if it's a hard experience for them, it's likely going to be, you know, often it's going to be a first experience for them, and they're just doing your best just like you're doing your best. So don't be hard on yourself. If that meltdown happens, just mentally prepare yourself and let it go when it does. All right, so those are all of my tips for traveling with 2 kids under 2. Now, those were kind of also general tips that you could use for just traveling with a baby or just traveling with a toddler. Definitely, I feel like it was a little bit more toddler leaning because that I feel like is the more challenging aspect of traveling with 2 kids. Thankfully, when you're traveling, if you're traveling with 2 kids, 2 and under, then that means that you'll have a row to yourself. And so you'll have your toddler in a seat and you'll have your baby as a lap child, unless you decide to purchase a seat for your baby instead of having them as a lap child. But I found this dynamic so much easier to travel with versus having me, my husband, and a lap child. It was way harder to then prevent your kid from kind of wanting to interact with the other person in your row. To have a whole row to yourself, it felt like so much more space. And because your toddler is really small, you have so much more leg room and so much more space with them there. So I definitely love that dynamic of having the full row to ourselves. So that is a really unique thing of traveling with 2 kids under 2. But you also might be, you know, traveling just you yourself with 2 kids under 2. If so, you got this, mama. You are my hero, and truly you can do it. It'll be just fine. Just focus on keeping their bellies as full as possible and having a positive mindset. So thank you so much for watching this video. It means so much to me that you did. If you liked it, please remember to give it a little thumbs up and to subscribe to my channel for content that might be similar to this in the future. I cannot wait to see you on the next video. Bye, friends.